Welcome everybody to TFT Tarot for today. Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. And this is me, Oberon, with Goth Tarot. It's my weekly look into the shadow issues of our life. Things that we deny or things that we use as excuses, etc. to get through our existence. But we need to work on those issues and possibly figure out ways to acknowledge and incorporate or absorb that stuff. Because at the end of the day, some of it has been useful to us. It may have shielded us from other painful realities or other things going on in our life that cause stress or conflict. So having a better relationship with our shadow issues is a part of what we're doing here. So last week, Banshee, my better half, and I started the month off by using the work associated from the Cries of the Soul's Oracle with inner pain. And I'm going to get to that in a moment, but that is our main issue for the month. We may sidetrack into other shadow issues. Let's start off with a reading from the Oracle of the Hecatean Path. And of course, a lot of my shadow work is dedicated to my relationship with Hecate or Hecate. I am not strictly working specifically in a Hecatean manner, though there were times where maybe I did have more devotional work. But using her as an oracle, or using this deck that was inspired by her to become an oracle, is a good way to keep the balance going with what Hecate wants for us. Because at the end of the day, Hecate is very concerned with the state of the world, as should we all be. Petonia Theron, Lady of the Wild Beasts. Petonia Theron, Lady of the Wild Beast. Nature. The animal faces of Hecate represent the primal aspects of her divinity, and in turn reflect our own base instincts and the natural world around us. In the lioness, we find enough pride, strength, and severity. The wolf is fiercely protective and commands respect, and the nanny goat represents a sense of independence, ambition, and diligence. These aspects combined represent our untamed nature. Touch the earth, howl at the moon, and swim in the sea. Reach a deeper understanding of how Hecate works and interacts through the environment around us. And that's beautiful because Hecate is possibly literally one of the oldest beings or deities ever worshipped by humankind. She has probably existed in forms before she was known as Hecate, something ancient Egyptian even. But regardless, that's the core root, is realizing that nature is sacred and that we have to do our our utmost to protect it. And so this is a good advice, especially if it's possible you do animal meditations, power animal meditations to work with some of those energies there, the lioness, the wolf, or the goat. All right. So, as I mentioned, we were working with the Cries of the Soul's Oracle and inner pain. I confidently embrace my internal torment. So, I think a bit of that is caught up in the idea that this is a card about how we are dealing with denial stuff. Sometimes we wear it on our sleeve, this idea that we're the martyr, we're mother of perpetual suffering or something like that. I'm going to read once again. I think Banshee read from this too last week, from the supplement. As the repository for painful experiences, I, your inner pain, help you manage your emotions and inner pain when your emotional responses and thoughts threaten to overwhelm you. I can help you focus on your goals and keep moving forward at your own pace. But using me can also cause collateral damage. You may hurt people or forget to do things or go somewhere with negative consequences. And so that idea is, of course, the things that maybe make us go into denial. And then because of that denial, we may go a little bit flippy, abstract, and forget other important things because we're focusing really on trying to forget that pain, but sometimes we're forgetting other things too. Alrighty, so now at this point, what I want to do is the update then on the inner pain. How are we doing with that? Are we understanding what we can do or those other, things that Banshee read from, um, the sense of overcoming the denial? So I'm going to throw a card for that. And I'm using the Erethereal Shadowwork Tarot. It's the reverse Ten of Pentacles. Well, it doesn't really feel good here. In a normal deck, the Ten of Pentacles sounds like the loss of your support systems. The reverse Ten of Pentacles support that you get from people in your environment, whether they're actually family or not. But I wanted to look quickly at the guidebook, and it's really maybe more persistent to or pertaining to the idea that this is a hardship. The Ten of Pentacles reversed does talk about hardships that affect us materially, but maybe also too in the sense of our feelings about security, which is also covered by Pentacles, and feeling like there's a sense of comfort that you can really draw upon. You may, in fact, be once more adding another layer of denial, pretending all is well, The meaning for this card suggests that, you are doing that. You may be smiling when on the inside you're really quite in fear of some sort. And that's not good. Right, so we're going to do a couple other things here now. I thought it was good to read from the supplement section of last week's beginning work for the inner pain. And I think that the equations or the positions of the cards that I'm using here for this reading, part of the reading, uh, absolutely pertain to what's going on. So, without any further delay, we're going to look at what I call the dark detour. And it's how do you try to divert from dealing with this? We're already showing that, we're just sort of hiding it behind a smile of some sort, and we have immense fears about our security. Um, I'm using the Midnight Boulevard because, of course, a boulevard can be a detour, or you can be detoured from the boulevard. I got this through Tavada.com. It's not AI. It's very dark in a sense, the colorations of it, of course. And the imagery deviates somewhat, from Rider Waite. Oops, I hate when I drop a card. Or more than one card. So, what is that detour we're taking? What are we putting in front of our work so that we don't have to deal with it? What kind of other issues might be going on? Oh, this is more important right now that I deal with such and such. And it's the Two of Cups reversed. Maybe we say we're done with that and we're moving on to something else. And so once again, it's a big sense of denial. We don't care about this anymore. We actually loathe it. We hate it. And we know we don't trust it or we don't feel the vibe anymore. So this is used as a way to say we're just moving on to something else. And so we're totally even in denial that there was that issue or that it has any sort of importance in our life. So I think that's kind of significant because then it also says too that we're refusing to trust someone else. We're refusing to take advice or to work with other people or to relate to other people who are only trying to relate to us. And so we're sort of avoiding um, finding better solutions or finding support that can help us. And if you remember, the card update from the Erethereal, the 10 of Pentacles reversed, reflects on that too, because there's a sense of just suggesting there's nothing really here. We can just move on. And so we're pretending we're already moving on to the next thing. We don't care about where the security issues or stability issues are present there. We're just sort of pretending they don't exist. But we deal with mysterious things all the time, and so it is that maybe there's a dark twist in all this. Maybe there's unknown actors or factors, dark factors, dark actors, who may show up and present a whole different kind of emphasis, or even a further distraction if you want to consider it that. But it just may be something else that really will have to be considered, or else continuing to avoid the work, we're continuing to not totally satisfy that work. So for this, I am using the Black Tarot. And once again, I'm calling that the Dark Twist. It's the Ace of Cups. What is the Dark Twist? What is the unknown factor or actor? You suddenly meet your soulmate. You meet somebody you fall in love with. Wow, that's really weird, the Ace of Cups. To me, this is suggesting that something begins, a different kind of love, a different appreciation of love, a different movement of love of some sort. I mean, I could see this as being, a child being born, or something else that's much loved being born. So if this isn't a beginning of a relationship that could possibly interact or change things, it is about the beginning of something cherished and loved that maybe is a game changer. And I'm not Christian, I'm a witch, I'm pagan, but I do believe in a divine feminine, and I do believe that the winter solstice kind of mirrors the idea of a new birth, a rebirth of sun or light coming in. And even as a person of darkness, we work with these tides of light and dark. We respect and honor the darkening time of year and look forward to when the light returns. In fact, I should put in a plug, but watch for this later. I'm putting in a plug for a special episode of Dark Goth Tarot. Anyway, I'm really digging on that. I'm thinking this is saying that really, if this isn't present in your life, you need to seek it, because I think this could only tip the scales in terms of understanding that inner pain and dealing with it, is by finding what it is that we love and that what we want to attend to, and something that we want to protect despite all other things. I know that sounds kind of goofy considering what the inner pain may be doing to many of us. All right. So now that just sounds wonderful, like I said, but maybe there's something more too that we have to think about. In all of this, there are factors that are leaning towards some confrontation still, or some sense of running away from the problem, diverting ourselves down a detour, another boulevard, and even having to focus on something else in our life that maybe seems more joyful may not totally relieve us from what we're going to. It may just sort of present another responsibility that we want and love, but then we're still not necessarily properly dealing with the inner pain. This could be really draining, the sense of that sense of trying to balance all of that with what you really want. But there could be more there. It might just be your relationship to all these factors that creates the psychic vampire drainage that may be happening to you. So I'm going to use the Vampire Tarot, and we're going to look for the factor of what it is that's draining you now. There could be something more specific than the need to move on from a bad relationship and maybe on to another one. I'm a little confused by that when I see that. When I devised this reading, I realized that these positions would necessarily not overlap. Sometimes I do think there is an overlap. So is there some other factor involved here that creates our psychic vampirism or drain? And it's the reversed Five of Wands. I think the reversed Five of Wands is here to tell us that we're avoiding things in our environment that may be helpful to us, and that we might have a really defensive stance going on right now, uh, where we're not willing to cooperate. Where, how, why is it draining us? It's got to be our pride in some way. I think our concept of ourself doesn't want us to embrace a low esteem default of some sort, and wants us to overcompensate by suggesting that those other things, we've moved on from a possibly bad relationship, or we're focusing on something new that is more hopeful to us. But maybe it's also about trying to re-portray ourselves in a more aggressive or protective manner of some sort, but sort of like taking it all onto ourselves, that value of determination and preservation. I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of interesting because some of this will probably poke out again next week when we explore the concepts like the dark avatar. At any rate, that's very interesting. There is kind of a tapestry going through here where it feels like there's a significant issue, I guess, in this pain that we're in denial about, this idea that we're not worth being helped or not worth advancing ourselves, and that we're going to kind of disguise it under everything's doing okay. But in reality, we're moving away from relationships because we don't trust them. Maybe we don't trust them because we don't want people to tell our secrets. And so maybe that's what the twist is the secret is revealed, that we do have love. We're miserable, but we want to place love in our life in a better way than it has been. But we're tired and drained from the facade we've created. The Five of Wands, overacting, over emphasizing what's not really true about us, that we need others, we need everybody. I'm going to close with a meditation from the Cosmic Crossroads. Almost forgot the name. All right. I have picked the first card in the deck. I've used this before, but I've never picked this card before. And that card is Adventure, number 1. The wonder of the seemingly impossible pulls us in and captivates us completely. We are inspired by what might be beyond the horizon and compelled to see it for ourselves. Sometimes fear or pain can override this desire, but adventure is as needed as any comfort that we seek. It is within our nature to grow, change, and expand. And without these aspects in our life, we can feel purposeless. Whether it's a small adventure or a big one, it instills a sense of excitement, hope, and wonder. If you have pulled this card, you are being called on an adventure. Let go of your expectations and allow for your curiosity to take hold. You never know what might happen if you say yes to the great wide yonder. Go ahead and take a chance today. Affirmation. I delight in the expansion that exploring creates within my soul. I open up and receive all the wonderful gifts that the universe has for me. I stand in wonder of the beauty that I find on my adventure. I am capable of navigating any challenges that may arise on my journey. I find joy exploring the hidden treasures of the world around me. Blessed be everyone. I think this is a good sign for the future. We have to encourage ourselves to be brave enough to seek those new beginnings that the Ace of Cups may portend, the twist that might change this inner pain, this ability, this non-ability to recover from that. I'll see everybody next week, but as I mentioned, the last Wednesday of the month is December 31st. So it's New Year's Eve, and in the ancient Roman or Greek calendars, it was also sacred to Hecate. So it is the fifth Saturday, so I'm probably going to do something different. We won't be continuing the inner pain. It'll be finished on the fourth week. So I'm going to do something a little bit in honor of Hecate, and it'll be more about the light and the dark. So more details when I get aware of them myself. I thank everybody for being here. Namaste.